Good morning, everyone. It's a nice Saturday morning out today. Today we're going to be hauling some manure. We'll see how far we can get. We got 2 heifer lots to do, so let's get at it.
Close.
We replaced a tire that had gone bad the last time we spread manure, so now we just need to fuel the tractor up and we'll be ready to go. We've got a couple things maneuvered out of the way with the skid loader, so now we have enough room to bring in the tractor and get started. Off and running with first load of manure now. A little bit about this spreader. We purchased this spreader around 2005, and it has the horizontal beaters on the back, and shortly after we purchased this, started to see pen pack manure spreaders with the vertical beaters, which does a little bit better job of broadcasting the manure, in my opinion. So we make do with this spreader we have now, but it doesn't broadcast very far, so we run it nice and slow. And especially while we have this little plot of land here to spread on, we want to make sure it's really thick with what availability we do have. To my right here is a field of our late corn that we'll chop for silage. We planted this behind our wheat, and what Dad does is he left just an acre or two here of free space to run off manure, so that we have some room to spread on and the manure doesn't get too built up in the heifer lots. This gate just slowly pushes back the manure until it comes out the other end. It takes a little bit to get it started, so that's why I'm just sitting here, and then we begin the slow crawl. getting this manure spreader full. It really just depends on what type of bedding you're using. We've primarily been using straw bedding on these heifer lots, which is fine. We just can't fill it up too much. Say if we had cornstalk bedding, then we'd have to be even more careful. The more thick the bedding you have, the more likely you can get these beaters clogged up, and I've had to learn the hard way that that's no fun. Sometimes if we are running sawdust on our special needs pack, you can load as much of that in there as you'd like. But with this straw, we do need to caution ourselves a little bit so we don't get stuck. We're getting ready to get down towards the end of this load here. We'll hear the beater start to hit the gate, and then we'll cut the PTO off and bring the gate back forward. We got the small heifer barn all cleaned out now. Not as quite as high of a pack as it usually is. It took us about 4 loads. On the side here, the walls, as you can see, are a little old and aging. So we always have to be very careful when we come through. We can't put up too much pressure against these walls for the sake of keeping the building sound. So I didn't drive very heavy up against these when I'm scraping, and so I'm going to go back and take the shovel here and grab a little bit more out. First load of the big heifer lot is on its way. We put in a pretty decent chunk here. This stuff's a little bit more wet than what we had before, so it's going to make for a much heavier load, and just going to be that much more careful with it. Although I do like doing this barn second because it's much easier access for the tractor, for the skid loader. The walls are sturdier. I can run the skid loader bucket up to them easier. So it just makes for an easier job than the small heifer barn. Since we're going so slow, it's a very dense application of the manure, very thick application. So whatever we grow out of next year is going to turn out pretty well. This late cornfield across the pasture lot is usually the field we use in wintertime, and the past couple of years we've got some excellent corn crops out of that. After I get done with this last load here, I noticed the gate started to slow down on its way back up. Turns out all I needed to do was just throw in a little bit of hydraulic oil. Should be good to go again. We got the last of the scraps out here in the big heifer lot. It is cleaned out now. We don't have a full load, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the manure spreader and park it over by the freestall barns. So when Jill goes to scrape out manure, she can just dump it in here instead of one of the manure pits. Now that we got the tractor put away, the last thing we need to do is take the skid loader and grab some straw bales and bed back up. something, but we got all the straw in, and all it's left to do now is put the heifers back. The heifers are back and enjoying life now with their new bedding that they get to go afterwards. That'll do it for me today, guys. To be honest, I really wasn't sure I was going to get all this done. I'm usually under a little bit of a time crunch because we need the skid loader and the bucket when milking time comes around in the afternoon to scrape out our special needs pen and our free stalls. But I made it just in the nick of the time somehow, some way. It's usually a big to-do to try and meet that goal, but there just wasn't as much manure in these heifer lots as there usually is. So just glad I got it all done. All right, we'll see you next time, guys.